Well, I've been able to make a little progress on the Mustang 330 skid steer project. I've been busy. Well, I've been able to spend a couple of days in the shop and here in the last couple of weeks outside of some of my other obligations, and we've made progress on this project. I've started another project, and I've got something else going on here. So anyway, to catch up to date, we've got the VE4 Wisconsin V4 air-cooled engine here out of the skid steer. I've got it tuned up, I've got it running, I've got the electronic ignition installed in it, and finally got it tuned up and running pretty good. I had a little bit of confusion. According to the book I've got and several other places I've read, the firing order on this engine is supposed to be 1342. I wired it up like that and got it running, got it timed, and it had a kind of an annoying miss, a pop out the exhaust. I went over a few things, couldn't really find anything else, so just for the heck of it, I switched around the wires the way it was when I took it out of the skid steer 1342 and started up, and lo and behold, that's the way it was. So for some reason, the firing order on this engine is different than it is in the book. But eventually got this figured out. I've got the exhaust piped out the door. I didn't want to open the big door here just to vent the engine because it's kind of cold and blustery outside today. I don't know if you can see, but it's snowing and the wind is blowing. So anyway, I'll start up the engine here. I've got it wired up here on the floor. I've got my electric fuel pump just bringing gas out of the gas can there. This alligator clip is my on-off switch right now, and this wire is the engages the solenoid to start it. So here we go. So the Wisconsin engine is running pretty good. I'm going to take this pipe off and shut the door because, like I said, it's a little bit cold and blustery out there. So I looked up the serial number on this Wisconsin engine, and according to the serial number, this engine was built in January of 1951. So yeah, it's an old timer. It's 65, about to be 66 years old. So it has reached official retirement age, and at this point, I'm not really sure that I'm going to put this engine back in the skid steer right now. I'm going to kind of put it aside because as it happens, within the last week, I maybe have another option. So we'll come over here to the workbench, and I'll show you what I've picked up just a couple of days ago. This is a Kawasaki V-twin. I found this on Craigslist, and it sort of intrigued me, so I looked at it and picked it up. I bought it really, really cheap because it needs some work. This is I believe it's a 26 horse engine. I've seen the horsepower on some of these engines. This is a model FD791D. It's liquid cooled. It has electronic fuel injection. I've seen the horsepower on this engine listed in some places at 26 and in some places at 29 horsepower. So just to compare, the Onan twin cylinder engine that was came in the skid steer originally was rated at 25 horsepower. The Wisconsin VE4 engine that was in the skid steer recently is rated at 21.5 horsepower, which actually I think is rated a little low. I think it has at least as much horsepower as the Onan twin cylinder did. But anyway, this Kawasaki engine certainly has enough horsepower to run the skid steer. With the fuel injection, it should work really nice. So what I'd like to do is rebuild this engine. I should be able to rebuild it pretty cheap without having a lot of money in it. Parts for it seem to be pretty readily available, both used parts on eBay and other places. So, and I bought this engine complete. It's I've got the it's got the radiator here. It's all part of the engine. It's got the ECU, or the computer for the fuel injection here. The voltage regulator. It's 12 volt. It charges. I've got the throttle body, all the fuel injection stuff. The starter here. So really, if I put this in the skid steer, all I really have to do is sort out the wiring and fabricate a motor mount for it, and it should work out really well. But I need to tear this engine down a little further. I took the crankcase cover off it, and what I found is that the connecting rod cap from the number 2 piston, as you can see, that's laying in the bottom. The cap and the 2 bolts were laying in there. Apparently the bolts on the connecting rod had simply backed out and fell out. I guess that goes to show you using a little bit of Loctite on those connecting rod bolts would be a good thing. But just from a visual inspection, the crankshaft is marked up, but I see a couple small dents in the case, but I don't see a lot of damage in there. I'm going to have to take this engine apart. I'll completely disassemble it a little later today and see exactly what I have. If nothing else, I bought this cheap enough that I can disassemble it and sell some of the good parts, like the fuel injection system, the radiator, the starter. I can sell these things on eBay and get back the money I've got in this engine, because I bought it so cheap, because it needs work. So that's where we are right now. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to fix this engine and put this modern liquid-cooled, fuel-injected Kawasaki V-twin into the old skid steer, or I'm going to go old school and go back to the Wisconsin V4. This Kawasaki engine is about half the size, less than half the weight of the Wisconsin engine, so it would be nice. But I'm going to take it apart and see what happens. So whenever I start putting things back together, I will post another video. So until then, have a good day.